Shinsky at Baseball Rebellion here. I'm going to do a breakdown of two of the top pitchers in 2016's draft, Riley Pint on the left and Justin Dunn on the right. And Riley's a high schooler out of St. Thomas Aquinas out in Kansas, and Justin is a junior at Boston College, my alumni, and they both are really hard throwers, right-handers. They have similar moves into their first moves, but I'm going to go through this breakdown and kind of tell you what I like, what I don't like, some similarities they have, and things that I think they can do better. All right. I think Riley has a pretty good upper half, but gets himself into some bad situations. And Justin has a pretty good lower half, but also loses some safety points on me protecting his arm into his finish. Okay, so I'm going to go through it, and they both have similar starts. So they both have the traditional, or should I say the new way of getting into this leg kick, where it's kind of up, down, and then out. Okay, so they get to a similar move, especially with their gloves and their leg kick. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to stop it when Justin gets to his foot past his hip, and now I'm going to stop where Riley gets past his hip. Okay, so they're in a pretty similar position here, and this is where it gets a little different for both of them. They do different things. So one thing that Riley does is, as he starts to go, he kind of gets towards third base with his knee a little bit more than Justin does. And what that means is he's kind of coming towards this camera with his knee, and what that does is he gets into foot strike, but he's closed himself off a little bit. And then I know some people teach this. Let's say some coaches teach this. I know I was told to be closed just a little bit to create deception to a right-handed hitter. But what this does is it gets his body into a bad position with his upper half. Okay, so you look at his arm here and notice that he has his arm 90 degrees with the ground. Okay, so has not gotten his arm up, and what we teach here is that is a bad position because we want to be 90 degrees behind our head. What he does do well is he does use his upper body together. All right, so if he were to get into a better position, just like Justin here, so I'm going to get to that same position. All right, and as he goes out, he kind of opens up his hips, and that's what we're teaching. But what he does is he hikes his elbow up a little bit. Okay, and that's why I would like Justin's lower half and Riley's upper half, is because now as he starts to open up his hips, he really gets into a really good position at foot strike with his lower half, where you could see all of Riley's belt right here. Okay, but on Justin, you see this stripe on his leg. Okay, and his belt's facing towards the catcher. Okay, what this does is it creates what I call easy gas. Okay, so what is that? That's just throwing hard. All right, using less of his arm. Okay, so using more of your body to throw hard. Okay, and that's where this gets a little bit funny to me, is because Riley and Justin throw about the same miles an hour, but I think Justin it gets to a lot safer position. So you notice where his arm is 90 degrees behind his head here. But one thing that he is doing is he's pretty forward in his posture. So what that means is you take a look at his belt, okay, and his spine angle is just forward, okay, but Riley's is back, okay. So from here to here, that's just the difference in their spine angles, okay. So from this position, like I said, I like Riley's movements together, and I'm going to show you through the finish. Is now as he starts to open up, he starts to use his lower half to really kind of push off that mound, and what that does is you'll notice that now his back foot is going to start to come off the rubber, and that puts a lot of stress on your UCL, especially throwing that hard. But does a really good job at bracing up. And one thing that does also is watch how he comes forward and his head is kind of pulling off to that side. And what that does is also his arm angle gets a little flat. So his shoulders are going horizontal rather than directional, and I'm going to show you the difference in that is the arm angle there, and as Justin starts to go forward, he kind of dips his left shoulder down, head stays still, and he gets out in front a little bit better than Riley, okay? But they both have this mechanism of, as they get into the ground, all right, their front leg braces up really well. But you see Justin, okay, uses a little bit more of his core to stay out in front and get this foot to stay down, all right, because now it's just going to come up off the ground. And what Riley does is just kind of pulls his leg forward. And this is where I think Riley needs to get a little better, because it scares me in the future of his arm health and arm care. So a guy throwing that hard with that back foot coming off the rubber, that really scares me on his ability to last longer and throw more innings. Okay, so a big culprit in why we see UCL tears and Tommy John surgeries is that's a big culprit. Okay, so moving forward, one thing I do see again is in Justin, the similarities and differences. This difference, okay, is his glove. Okay, so as we go through all the way into our finish, okay, love his lower half again, but I never get to see his shoulders, so his numbers. Sorry, his shoulders never kind of get all the way through, and you never see his glove. Now, on the other hand, Riley, really great at when he's coming through, glove and upper body follow. Okay, and he looks a little contorted here with his head just because of this lower half. Okay, so again, really good with his upper half as he comes through. Justin again kind of just stops his glove and is using a little bit more of his arm. So they both have some tweaks that they can do with their mechanics to just make them throw healthier, and that's where Baseball Rebellion, we're into not only helping out kids throw harder and throw more accurate, but getting to a safe, efficient position and throwing mechanics, especially as a pitcher. Okay, so these are two guys that are their lives are going to change really, really soon, and they have a decision to make. Justin has one more year of college, and Riley is just a senior in high school, so a commit to LSU. So he has I think a bigger decision to make than Justin, but they both are going to be high draft picks and deemed to make a lot of money. But again, I want them to be wary. I want you guys to be wary of the problems that this generation have with the pitching mechanics, and reach out to us and comment on our blogs and in our comments about what you think. Okay, so that's a breakdown of Riley Pint and Justin Dunn. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Dave Shinsky at Baseball Rebellion. Thanks a lot.